afternoon. My name is Alexis Archbold. I'm the Assistant Dean of Students here at the Faculty of Law, and I'm serving as your Master of Ceremonies today. To start off our program, I'd like to invite Interim Dean Jutta Grenade to provide you with some welcoming remarks.
Well, you stole my first line. Hello. So here we are in a different place, and you're standing here with a different person greeting you. So I wonder whether you feel just a little bit like in an episode of Star Trek. Dean Mayo Moran steps onto the transporter and calls a cheery, "Beam me up, Scotty." And then here, well, I confess that I actually looked up on Wikipedia how the transporter works. Clearly I'm not actually a Trekkie. So it turns out that it, and I quote, is susceptible to unusual anomalies and environmental conditions that can cause unexpected results. So here I am. Clearly not Mayo Moran, but I am your interim dean. And it is, in fact, quite an unexpected opportunity for me to be here and to welcome you to this family event portion of Convocation. Mayo and I had talked quite extensively about how to do things today, and we agreed that since you really were her class, so to speak, that she would see you through the ceremonies at Convocation Hall. But I am really delighted that I have this opportunity to congratulate you on graduating from our law school, and it really is a tremendous accomplishment, a genuine milestone in your lives. Getting here took talent, dedication, and let's face it, perseverance. And it also, and this has been mentioned a couple of times and I think it bears repeating, it took support and encouragement from your parents and from your partners and your families. And so I know that all of those spouses and family members here are tremendously proud of you, but I think they deserve another round of applause on this day as well. So congratulations to you again. I look forward to hearing from all of you about where you go from here and about your contributions in the many different places that law can take you and where law and you, I really believe, can make a difference. Now that is actually a perfect segue for me to introduce our alumni speaker for today, Rob Senta. He's a member of our Alumni Association, and he will welcome our graduates to the legal profession and to U of T's large, vibrant, and enormously accomplished alumni community. Rob acts in all areas of advocacy with an emphasis on public law and business litigation. He has acted for clients in partnership and shareholder rights disputes, commercial litigation, major insolvencies, commercial arbitrations, and in copyright and trademark disputes. He also regularly acts for universities and other public institutions, and he has extensive experience in public inquiries. He's acted as pro bono counsel for Human Rights Watch, the International Human Rights Law Clinic here at U of T, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, and the BC Civil Liberties Association. Rob's accomplishments have caught the attention of our professional publications. Lexpert named Rob one of Canada's leading lawyers under the age of 40. He's also been recognized as in the best lawyers in Canada. I hear some laughing at that table. It might be because I'm sort of wishing that I might still have a crack being anything the best under 40, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. So he is a graduating student in 1999. He received the gold medal, the Dean Cecil A. Wright Key, and since then he's taught in our program a very popular trial advocacy program. So he's a fantastic example of what our very accomplished and engaged alumni do, and I'm thrilled that he was able to join us here to welcome you into the alumni community. Rob.
Thank you very much, Dean Grenade. Faculty members, the fantastic collection of assistant deans, senior staff, and staff at the law school, and the most important group here today, the class of 2014, your partners, your friends, your family, and your relatives. On behalf of the over 9,000 alumni at the Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto, let me say how thrilled we are that you are joining our ranks. You are leaving a magical place, one of the great law schools in the world. The strength of the faculty and this student body, the range of extracurricular opportunities, the intellectual rigor, the connection to the leaders of the bench and bar, not just in Canada, but around the world, is simply astonishing. But the class of 2014 is something special. You are the most accomplished, passionate, academically gifted, socially conscious, and hardworking classes in the history of this great law school. Your families are all incredibly proud of you and your achievements, and rightly so. Now, I've had the great privilege of getting to know some of you during your time at the faculty. The brilliant Jessie Elders, who will be articling at our firm this year. Her excellent research last summer made me look much smarter than I am. The fantastic students in the trial advocacy course, thank you so much for your hard work. The students in that course included the ridiculously talented Jen Bernardo and Kristen Campbell. We finished second in the Sapeka Cup, the national trial advocacy competition this year, much to their honor. And the many, many, many students at Downtown Legal Services who regularly won cases against me at the University Tribunal. I suspect this was more fun for you than for me. And I hope that you will take it a little bit easier on me now that we're all alumni together. But you will all go on to do great things. Selfishly, I hope that many of you will remain in private practice in Toronto. And there you will become the leading barristers and solicitors and judges. And I hope that you will work with me and many others to transform the private practice of law so that it's a career that can more easily accommodate the different and diverse lives of lawyers. But for many of you, your talents will burn too bright and your ambitions will be too boundless to limit yourself to one city or one profession or one career. But that does not matter because you are a U of T Law School alum. And your status does not depend on your career or your geographic location. Graduates from my time at the law school are doing amazingly diverse things. They are jewelers and they are running fashion houses. They are building businesses and NGOs and social enterprises. They have founded cutting-edge new law firms that challenge everything about our profession except its commitment to excellence. And one is running to be mayor of the city of Winnipeg. And one more has become a best-selling Canadian novelist. That novelist also happens to be my wife and partner, Kate Hilton, who is here today. We met in law school. She is the love of my life. And if you need another souvenir from today's festivities, we'll have a table over here where we'll be selling her books. More seriously, they are all alumni and they make us proud every single day. Your new alumni family will always be here for you. I hope you find it an invaluable network for professional mentoring or coaching, or when you face ethical and professional dilemmas that you should not try to solve alone. Never ever hesitate to reach out to the members of the UT alumni community for advice or guidance. No question is too small, no need is too great. And in return, I ask of you only this. First, regardless of what you do, be excellent. And do what you do with the highest levels of integrity and professionalism. Who among you will be the next Justice Abella, the next Chancellor Wilson, the next Frank Iacobucci? Well, let it be you. Second, I urge you to defend institutions that are essential to the rule of law in this country. If ever again the integrity of the Chief Justice of Canada or our Supreme Court is attacked for partisan political reasons, regardless of the source of that attack, I urge you to stand with us to defend the independence of our judiciary. Our constitutional democracy demands no less. Third, help us to continue the great work done by my deans, Ron Daniels and Dale Moran, and the great deans before them. Give back to your school. Give your time, give your leadership, give your mentorship, your energy, and your gifts. And let's build on the strength of this faculty so that in 15 years, when one of you is standing here, you will be able to marvel, as I have, at how much the Faculty of Law at the University of Toronto has improved since you graduated. Congratulations. You should all be very proud. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much, Ron. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Mewett Teaching Award. Alan Hewitt was an internationally respected legal scholar and gifted teacher in the areas of criminal law, criminal procedure, and evidence. He joined the Faculty of Law in 1968 and captured the attention and imagination of over 3 decades of UT Law students with his characteristically flamboyant teaching style. Respected and admired by both academics and practitioners, he also served as the editor of the Criminal Law Quarterly for over 30 years, was the director of the Ontario Law Reform Commission's Evidence Project, and was honored with the prestigious Kennedy Award in recognition of his superior talents, dedication, and outstanding merit as a law teacher. In 1999, students of the faculty established an award in his honor to be given each year to a faculty member for excellence in teaching. He died on May 2nd, 2001 at the age of 70. Brendan Stevens, our outgoing Student Law Society president, will present the Hewitt Teaching Award.
Thank you very much, Alexis, and good afternoon, everyone. It is my great pleasure to present the Hewitt Award for Teaching. The award recipient is chosen by the graduating class, and this year it goes to an outstanding individual, Professor Martha Schaefer. I have a few nice things to say about you first. Sorry. It is Professor Schaefer's conduct, both within and beyond the classroom, that is so exceptional. Within the classroom, she has a reputation for presenting complex concepts in a compelling, yet clear and concise fashion. In the words of one of my colleagues, Professor Schaefer is the only professor that made me feel like it didn't matter what mark I got in her course. While in other classes I focused on outcomes, Professor Schaefer really made me appreciate the process. Learning, and not just studying evidence law, was no longer something that I had to do, but rather something that I wanted to do. In every job interview I've had since, the answer to the question, what was your favorite class in law school, has been unequivocal. Evidence, with Martha Schaefer. I don't know about you, Professor Schaefer, but I propose we do away with the hearsay rule just for today and admit that statement for the truth of its contents, because it sure rings true to me. Outside of the classroom, Professor Schaefer is a tireless student advocate who is always in touch with the student voice. One of her students told me, Professor Schaefer was a real champion for me. I've never been top of the class, but she didn't care. She saw other valuable qualities in me, and she helped me make those qualities shine. And so, Professor Schaefer, on behalf of the graduating class, I would like to thank you so very much for all that you do for students here at the faculty. You are an exemplary teacher, mentor, and role model. Thank you very much, and please join me in congratulating.
Thank you, Brenda, for those very, very kind words. There have been so many speeches today. I'm going to be very brief, and I have just 2 quick things to say. First, I'd like to begin by congratulating you, the class of 2014, on being here today. Graduating from law school is a tremendous accomplishment, and you have my warmest congratulations on that achievement. So congratulations. Second, I'd like to thank you for the honor you've given me by selecting me to receive the Hewitt Award. Alan Hewitt was a wonderful scholar and a committed teacher who believed sincerely that teaching was the most important part of his job here at the law school. He believed passionately in legal education, and he believed in the importance of ensuring that a legal education be accessible to all those who wish to pursue it. It is a great honor to receive an award in his name. Congratulations and enjoy the day.
Thank you, Martha. Interim Dean Brunei will now introduce this year's valedictorian.
It's my pleasure to introduce this year's valedictorian, who's chosen by the graduating class as someone who best exemplifies the law school spirit. And I'm delighted to announce that this year's valedictorian is Sarah Ranking. Sarah's accomplishments as a law student are impressive and include winning the Borden-Ladner-Gervais Prize for Academic Excellence in 2012, the Blake Castles and Graydon Prize in Business Organizations in 2013, co-founding a new law journal at the faculty called Critical Analysis of the Law, an International and Interdisciplinary Law Review, acting as senior editor of the Journal of Law and Equality, acting as an elected executive member of Downtown Legal Services, acting as an elected member of the Student Law Society, and the list goes on. But please just join me in congratulating Sarah on being selected valedictorian for the class of 2014. Sarah, would you please come up?
Good afternoon, everyone. And another warm welcome and thank you to the families, friends, partners, loved ones, supporters who are joining us this afternoon. When we sat under another tent almost 3 years ago for our nervous first day of orientation, they told us that law school would change us. And I guess on some level we knew that was true. But I think it's fair to say that none of us quite predicted what we were in for, or just how different we would be when we sat at this end of the experience. I don't know about you, but I had no idea, for example, that I would never again be able to hold a conversation with a non-law person at a party, ever. Or that this would be the end of my having hobbies or interests of any kind. I had no idea just how close a relationship you can form with food delivery staff. And I learned, because some of you have truly tested, that women can live on pizza alone. I think it's also fair to say that we had no idea we would form some of the most valuable friendships of our lives. We expected to learn things, to gain skills maybe. We did not expect to be spending our days with people who are so incredible. They made us want to do everything better. I actually don't know quite how to say what an honor it is to stand here and to graduate with the exceptional group of people who are sitting in front of me. Or to capture how much of our growth through this experience came from spending time with one another, pushing one another, and teaching one another. And I imagine everyone who stands here says that. But there's no question for me that ours is a truly remarkable, unusual class, and we were tremendously lucky to be a part of it. This group is driven, you are fearless, but most excitingly and most inspiringly for me, I think what defines this class as a group is this: you are bold. We have been the class that was willing to take on every single issue, no matter how big or small. That's been true from the start. You may have forgotten about the petition we started in the first exam period of our first year of law school to demand more time off to prepare for exams. Parents and friends, you understood that correctly. It was a petition for more time to spend studying. We got to work fast. Never has a more motivated group of people been assembled, much to the dismay of everyone who was at the receiving end of any of our complaints, petitions, initiatives, letters. You get the idea. From small things, like exam timing and requests for what went into the law school transition space, to big things, like starting a business law school, to get the training, or business law clinic, to get the training we thought was crucial, or insisting that the provost hear student feedback on the panel selection process. You've been tireless. You transformed the school newspaper, getting the attention of professional journalists. You multiplied the outreach and community contact our poverty law clinic, Downtown Legal Services, has with community partners. You founded fundraisers and entire MOOCs. Our class has had, in common, a willingness to take on whatever we think needs work. Accordingly, a lot of us have put our energy into the accessibility and diversity of the law school itself, seeking leadership and long-term vision from the faculty on the cost of legal education, what our degree should mean, and what kind of institution we think this should be. But your willingness as a group to take on anything has gone far beyond the work we did inside the faculty. Many of you have directed your energy outside of the school into the world, which I understand continued to turn while we were in the library studying. From taking on proposed legislation, to running NGOs, traveling to Trinity Western, or, so far as I can tell, Josh, basically running the NDP party from the study room. The challenges you've taken on are impressive and immense. And I include in that what I think was, I can safely say for all of us, sometimes the toughest challenge posed by law school or the world at large while we were here. And that was the challenge of just pressing forward in spite of it all. I joke that it feels like the world stopped turning while we studied, but of course it didn't. Jamie, Lynn, and Marin can certainly tell us about that. For many of you, staying the person, parent, partner, and friend you wanted to be took a tremendous amount of grit and strength as you faced the world, the way the world threw at you. I know I'm not the only one who felt frequent, total admiration for my classmates who were handling adversity, tragedy, change, and reality with grace and unbelievable determination. From the personal to the global, you have done fearlessly exactly what needs doing. It's a rare thing to be in the company of people who have such strongly held values, combined with the character to stand up and act on them. We have not always agreed. Our causes are not all the same. In fact, I think some of you are cringing right now, hoping I will not say the word tuition. But I have such deep respect, admiration, and gratitude to be graduating with all of you, because no matter what direction you lean in or where you want to end up, you are all so remarkably, untiringly bold. It makes it impossible to be complacent or feel frustrated for too long. It makes organizing my life around exactly the kind of work I want to do and the changes I want to make seem completely possible, ordinary even. Because everyone I spend my time with just stands up and does exactly what they think is necessary and exactly what they think is right. And I know I'm not the only one who feels buoyed by that. I also know, from many long conversations had to avoid studying the bar materials, that I'm not the only one who has a little apprehension about what comes next. A-type overachievers in everything you do, you began preemptively to feel nostalgic about law school before it was even over, and have begun, far ahead of schedule, feeling a little nervous about what happens a few months or a year from now. Some of us are moving away for school, for work, around the globe, across the country, to new cities, new programs, new jobs, with new people. It's all exciting, but it's unknown and uncertain. And we are, frankly, graduating into a profession that needs a little work. We heard about the access to justice crisis in a panel in our first week of law school, and it turns out they totally haven't fixed it while we were here. Women and visible minorities remain woefully underrepresented at tops of many firms and still exit the profession in higher numbers. Everyone seems to have questions about how law will be practiced as our careers unfold, what needs to change, what old models might be jettisoned. Rule of law is suddenly a headline topic, and on and on and on. On a smaller scale, we're worried about the regular things. Will we be any good at our jobs? What if we don't like them? What's it even like to practice law? We don't know. Do they even know how little experience we have at this, you guys? I can't believe they're letting us do this. Things are about to change forever. But I find I can't be too worried about the state of things out there, because I know they're in good hands. I've met you guys. I've seen how you operate. If there's a problem, spoiler, there will be. By the time anyone else notices it, one of you will already have begun working on it. I know that if things seem frustrating or ineffective, someone, probably Esther, will already have started a conversation about what can be done. Anytime I might get up in the morning and feel dismayed by the news, Marcus will already have been awake and working on it for like 5 hours. When we come across concerns that need thoughtful dialogue, cooperation, and leadership, I know Peter will be on top of it. I know all of you will be on top of it. I have no doubt that we will see a million changes over the course of our careers, whether they are inside or outside of legal practice. And I similarly have no doubt that you will be leading many of them. We've left our mark on the school by choosing at every turn to demand a little more and expect the best. I mean, the building isn't even standing anymore. We really changed this place. I'm certain that as the years go by, we will leave our mark on the profession, the law, and dare I say, the world, by doing the same, by taking on at every opportunity what we think needs work. Of course, if we're realistic, we aren't going to go directly into changing the world. Or most of us won't. Some of you are doing it from your iPhones while I'm speaking, I'm sure. We've mastered law school, or at least we survived it, and now we're at the beginning of something new. We have lots to learn and lots to do before we're precisely where we'd like to be, with the skills we'd like to have. We will have decisions to make a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now about what we want to do, where we want to be, and who we want to be. And in between then, we'll have decisions to make every day about what kind of force we'd like to be in our offices, families, practices, hearings, professional circles, friendships, everywhere we go. And realistically, there will be challenges. It will be easy to get swept up in the tide as we worry about the next deadline, or the impression we're making, or any of the things that come along and accidentally define the course of your life. And so if I could have the audacity to suggest you take one thing I say out into the world with you, I would say this. This class is a community we will belong to for the rest of our lives. No matter where we go, no matter what we do, we will be connected by these formative years and the ways we change each other. When you find yourself trying to decide what to do next, or how to handle the problem or the fork in the road in front of you, remember that. The profession and the world won't always make it easy to take the kind of action we think is right. And we won't have, for much longer, the luxury of being in direct contact with the brave and outspoken class around us. But when you are faced with decisions between action and idleness, between bravery and silence, between a risky move and safely guarding the status quo, when you are tired, or nervous, or heartbroken, or unsure, I suggest you remember that wherever you are, you're one of us. We're the class of 2014. We are, and may we always be, bold.
Thank you very much, Sarah. It's now my pleasure to announce several awards recognizing the top academic achievers in our graduating class. The Angus McMurtry Gold Medal is a gift of friends of the late Angus McMurtry, who was a former governor of the university. We're also fortunate to have the Gallant Ho Prize, named for Mr. Gallant Ho, the founder and owner of a leading law firm in Hong Kong and a generous supporter of the university. Both the Gold Medal and the Gallant Ho Prize are awarded to the student in the graduating year with the highest cumulative average while at law school. This year's Gold Medal and the Gallant Ho Prize go to Christopher Livatio. The W.P.M. Kennedy Silver Medal honors W.P.M. Kennedy, who was Dean of the Law School from 1944 to 1949, and is awarded to the student in the graduating class with the second highest cumulative average while at law school. This year's Silver Medal goes to Emma Carter. James B. Milner Bronze Medal, named for James B. Milner, was a professor at the Faculty of Law from 1950 to 1969, and is awarded to the student in the graduating class with the third highest cumulative average while in law school. This year's Bronze Medal is awarded to Brendan Stevens. The Gerald W. Schwartz Medals and accompanying prizes were endowed in honor of Gerald W. Schwartz by friends Ann Wilson and Robert Pritchard in recognition of Mr. Schwartz's 9 years of distinguished service as a governor of the University of Toronto. They are awarded annually to students in the graduating class achieving the highest cumulative averages over 4 years in the combined JD MBA program. This year's gold medal for the student with the highest cumulative average in the JD MBA program is awarded to Michael Jason. This year's silver medal for the student with the second highest cumulative average in the JD MBA program is awarded to Jonathan Vega. Don't see Jonathan making his way up. Jonathan, are you here? Wave if you are. Okay. So we'll move on to bronze medal. This year's bronze medal for the student with the third highest cumulative average in the JD MBA program is awarded to Sabrina Radiat Brown. Justice Michael J. Moldaver Prize, gift of the Honorable Mr. Justice Michael Moldaver, is awarded annually to the student standing first in the third-year class. This year's Moldaver Prize is awarded to Megan Bridges. The Class of 1967 Prize, a gift of the members of the Class of 1967, is awarded to the student standing second in the third-year class. The prize for standing second in the third year is awarded to Emma Carver. The Class of 1967 Prize for the student standing third in the third-year class is awarded to Brendan Stevens. We'll now present the Stephanie Fleur Cousin Medal for Nooning. The Stephanie Fleur Cousin Medal for Nooning was established in memory of Stephanie Fleur Cousin, and this was done by the class of 2009 through generous support of her, she was a member of the class of 2009 through the generous support of her family and the firm of Lansner Slatt and many friends and colleagues. Stephanie was an outstanding rooter and competed in the Grand Group while in law school. The medal will be awarded annually to a student who has demonstrated outstanding performance in the rooting program and strong commitment as both a participant and a coach. This year's Stephanie Fleur Cousin Medal goes to two students, in fact, Hani Magali and Jordan Katz. Choosing the recipients for the Rooting Award is inherently difficult because we have such terrific student involvement in the Rooting program. This year was especially difficult because the top two students were virtually indistinguishable in their talent, commitment, and generosity. For the first time, we decided to award the medal to two students. All of the members of the Moot Court Committee were excellent, but Honey and Jordan really stood out when they volunteered to take on coaching the new family law book, in addition to their already sizable responsibilities of arguing in the Grand Moot, running the tryouts for the competitive moots, and coaching the corporate securities moot. Henny's and Jordan's oral advocacy skills were on high-definition display during their performance in the Grand Moot. Their generosity with their time and their talent for teaching other students is evidenced by the awesome success of the two teams they coached. Congratulations. John Willis Award and the Gina Caldarelli Memorial Prize for Student Spirit. The John Willis Award, named in honor of John Willis, a professor at the Faculty of Law from 1949 to 1972, is presented annually by the students of the Faculty of Law to the third-year student who has best displayed ingenuity, humor, and enthusiasm, both in the study of law and in the extracurricular life of the law school. The Gina Caldarelli Memorial Prize for School Spirit was established in memory of Gina Caldarelli, who was a member of the class of 1997 at the faculty. This prize recognizes a JD student who has made a substantial and meaningful contribution to the law school and who has best demonstrated interest in the well-being of his or her fellow classmates. Peter Flynn, our outgoing Vice President, Student Affairs and Governance, and Ben Isco, our outgoing Vice President, Social Affairs, will present the Willis and Caldarelli Awards. Please come up.
The Wilson Caldarelli Award is voted upon by the third-year class to exemplify both leadership and spirit.
Now, traditionally, this award is given out by the SLS president. However, circumstances this year, the SLS president is receiving the award, and so Ben and I were asked to come and present the award for him.
Now, I'm going to just express for the spirit reasons why this gentleman was chosen, and this is a very abbreviated list. The recipient has performed in numerous coffee houses, most recently performing a duet at Halo, is an integral member of our Courts of Appeal, a consistent ambassador for prospective students to the school, has been a very active participant in all Halloween endeavors, and anyone who has seen his costumes will appreciate this, including David Bowie, a zebra with remarkable makeup, Lady Gaga's Born This Way skeleton. Yeah, no, it really is impressive what he does. A regular performer at Law Follies, including a recent duet of a spoof of Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr.'s Me and My Shadow, and most recently a Law Ball video in which he did an uncanny portrayal of the drill sergeant in the opening scene of Full Metal Jacket.
As for the leadership side of the award, it's very difficult to sum up all the different ways in which Brendan has had an effect on the law school over the past 3 years. From his amazing work on accessibility and diversity here at the school, to his coordinating with Pro Bono Students Canada, to his leadership of the Student Law Society, and his work on curriculum, tuition, mooting, and putting out the hundreds of little fires that pop up throughout the day-to-day work, it's clear that Brendan is a leader here at the Faculty of Law. But where Brendan really shines is when you meet with him with a problem that you need a hand in solving. Watching Brendan sit through meetings with fellow classmates, take on other people's troubles, and make them his own, it's clear to see the absolute compassion which embodies his leadership style. His care for our community, his leadership, and his spirit are all reasons why we are honored to be able to present our good friend, this year's recipient of the Willis and Caldarelli Awards, Brendan Stevens.
Student Leadership Awards recognize students who have made outstanding extracurricular contributions to the Faculty of Law or to the university as a whole. This year, 5 of our students received Cressy Awards, and they are David Bach, Peter Flynn, Sophia Ijaz, Benjamin Isco, and Brendan Stevens. They have made to the law school and the broader community. David Bach has committed countless volunteer hours to the faculty social justice programs, including Downtown Legal Services and Pro Bono Students Canada. For PBSC, David provided legal assistance to the residential school survivors. He also is a member of PBSC's Tax Court Project, where he assists unrepresented litigants before the Tax Court of Canada. David has served as the Aboriginal Law Students Association co-president for 2 years. In this role, he steers also social, cultural, and educational initiatives. He's also one of 2 student representatives to the Law Society of Upper Canada's Equity Advisory Group. Peter Flynn, as you know, is our outgoing Vice President of Student Affairs and Governance of the Student Law Society, our law school student government. He's sat on numerous Dean's Committee, including the Financial Aid Committee, where he's made many very valuable contributions. Peter's also an active participant in charitable fundraising activities, including Walk a Day, benefiting the Barbara Schleifer Commemorative Clinic, and the Promises Auction, which supports the Native Women's Research Center and the First Nations Child and Family Caring Society. Ben Isco is our outgoing Vice President of Social Affairs for the SLS. He has consistently taken a leadership role in creating a sense of community at the law school. Ben founded the Walk a Day campaign, which has raised over $20,000 to date. He's played on several faculty intramural teams and is a writer, performer, and director of Law Follies. Sophia Ijaz enhanced dialogue and scholarship on international human rights issues at the Faculty of Law. As editor-in-chief of Rights Review, a publication of the International Human Rights Program, Sophia helped to document abuses and champion the rights of women, refugees, workers, and survivors of atrocities. Sophia shared her academic interests with the law school community by hosting panel discussions on military courts and legal issues affecting minority, religious, and immigrant communities. She was a mentor in the law school's free LSAT prep program for low-income students and led workshops for high school students through our Law in Action Within Schools program. And finally, Brendan, who is, as you know, our outgoing president of the SLS. He's made numerous significant contributions to the law school as coordinator of PBSC, as a Wilson Luter co-director of an acapella quartet, and co-president of Out in Law, which is an organization aimed at fostering a positive environment for LGBTQ students and allies at the law school. Please join me in congratulating our Cressy Award winners.
So, it is now my great pleasure to introduce the new Cecily Wright Key. It is presented to the student who has displayed the greatest interest in extracurricular work of an academic nature. And you may perhaps not be entirely surprised to hear that this year's Dean's Key is awarded to Brendan Stevens. Brendan is the recipient of several academic and leadership awards, including the Macmillan Prize, which is awarded to one first-year student for academic achievement and leadership, the Norton Rose Group Award, an award for academic achievement and commitment to teamwork. Remarkably, as we've already heard in spades, Brendan has combined this outstanding academic achievement, or record of achievement, with an enthusiastic involvement in academic extracurricular activities. He served as a volunteer researcher and writer for Justice for Children and Youth, as a researcher for the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity Working Group within our excellent International Human Rights Program. And this year, Brendan participated in the Wilson Moot with Christy Matteo, in which they won the Best Factor. I should also note that Brendan will be clerking at the Ontario Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court of Canada. So, it will be no surprise to you that Brendan has been a superb student. He's made enormously positive contributions to the law school, and when asked for the input, an overwhelming number of faculty nominated Brendan for this award. So I'm very pleased to present it to such a worthy recipient. Please come up, Brendan. that was, I think, the last prize for Brendan for today. And now, I am very happy to introduce our hail and farewell speakers, Professors Jim Phillips and Hamish Stewart. The hail and farewell speech is given by a professor chosen by the graduating class to send them off with a few words. And so our hail and farewell honorees today come in spades or in twos, Jim Phillips and Hamish. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to go first and then Hamish will go second. We're a bit like the Australian speed skaters. Do you remember the Winter Olympics, I think 2 Olympics ago? An Australian speed skater won a speed skating gold medal, essentially by having both in the semi-final and the final, all of his competitors fall down before they got to the event. So in fact, the graduating class very sensibly voted for Professor Carol Rogerson to give the speech, but she was not able to be here today, so Hamish and I were runners-up. So we're kind of back into this, but we're nonetheless absolutely delighted to be part of this event and this wonderful day. Over the last 3 years, I've developed both a great admiration and much affection for the class of 2014, and it's therefore both an honour and a delight to be able to say something on the occasion of your graduation, aka the Brendan Stevens Show. This is an unusual event. It's probably the only event in the law school for the last 3 years that has not been organised by Brendan School. And it's also an occasion on which it's not necessarily that easy to decide what to say. So I thought I would take some advice on what I should say. So I asked your former dean. She said, you know, field's pretty much open, but don't mention tuition. So I won't. I asked Brendan Stevens, and you might be surprised to see yet another side of Brendan Stevens. He said, well, I've no particular advice on the content of your speech, but I could give you some ideas about what to wear. I don't think so, Brendan. I asked Esther Lechkin. She had 2 requests. One was, please don't mention my name. And the other was, she said that she always found it useful herself to steer clear of anything controversial, so I should do that too. So, in the absence of any really useful advice, I had to decide for myself. Someone's had a couple of drinks over there. And the truth is, it's actually easy to know what to say on this occasion, because my principal task is to convey to you the appreciation, affection, and admiration which I and all of my faculty colleagues have for your contributions to the life of the law school during your time here. Quite simply, and if I may say so uncontroversially, you have been a simply terrific class. Academically, you're highly accomplished and distinguished yourselves from the outset. That distinction has come not only in the classroom, but in all the other kinds of very important extracurricular academic activities you do, from law journals to mooting to the student legal aid service, and everything you've done it terrifically well and made massive contributions to the law school. I could recite any number of particulars, but I'm not going to, in part because your family and friends have already had to listen to far too many speeches today on far too great a length, so I'm going to be quick. But in any event, to dwell too much on these kinds of specific things would be to miss something very important about this class. In addition to being academically accomplished, as academically accomplished indeed as any class that I can recall, you've also been a wonderfully lively and good-humoured class. You've been great contributors to law follies and law games and coffee houses and all of the other social events that contribute so much to law school life. You've been a class of people who get involved, who make the community a better place, who keep a sense of perspective, a balance between work and play, between taking life seriously and not taking yourselves too seriously. Now, I've often been known to be heard to say that I have the best job in the world, and that's true, but it's that way largely because of students like you. Over the last 3 years, teaching you, talking to you, learning from you, occasionally even singing in your presence, and you were polite enough not to boo, has made coming to work a constant pleasure. I thought even today was enhanced by you. This morning we had lots of speeches, lots of backpatting, But for me, far and away, the best part of the morning was watching you come up one by one, broad smiles on your faces, and receive those well-earned degrees. So, on behalf of all my colleagues who work at the law school, those who teach and those who do other work crucial to the success of the institution, I thank you for the energy, commitment, and sheer fun you have brought to the place.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am extremely honored that the class of 2014 has asked me to address them today, and I am especially honored to share the stage with my friend and colleague, Jim Phillips, the professor who gave me a B in the law of trusts. And I'm quite sure, and I hope I'm not presuming when I say something about Ron Daniels, I'm sure that my old friend and my former boss, Ron Daniels, the professor who gave me a B in the law of securities regulation, I'm sure that he feels very honored to have received a degree from this university on the same day as you, the accomplished and politically engaged class of 2014. As Jim said, it's always difficult to know what to say on these occasions, and he's made things easier for me because I can simply endorse essentially everything he said, which helps. But I have an extra, a particular difficulty, besides the ones Jim alluded to, which is that the only form of discourse that I'm truly comfortable with is a lecture. Every time I speak, regardless of the occasion, if it's dinner, or having a coffee with my friend, or staying up late watching a movie with my family, it always turns into a lecture, no matter how hard I fight it. So, I'm old enough to have learned not to fight these things. So here's the lecture. All of you have diligently studied law for the past 3 to 4 years, well, at least the first 2 of those years anyway, and most of you will practice law in one form or another for part of your career. But you may still wonder about a question that has vexed jurists for centuries and continues to vex us, and vex me in particular. What is law? However, I am not vexed by this question anymore because I know the answer, and I'm going to share it with you for free. Law, I'm going to submit to you, is social motor oil. And what I mean by that is that human society can be thought of as an extremely complex heat engine which generates friction by the interactions between millions and millions of free, purposive, and rational agents who together constitute human society. Now, law is one of the lubricants. It's not the only one, but it's one of the lubricants that helps to dissipate that friction and make our lives possible. Without law and other social institutions that serve the same function, we would be in a state of nature where, as Hobbes memorably said, the life of man, he meant the life of humans, is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Now, you may have thought I was going to say that the law is a set of principles for doing justice, or for protecting individual rights, or for attaining the common good, or trying to do all of those things in some way. And so it is. That's because it cannot serve this friction-reducing function I have described unless it does respect basic principles of justice. May I call them principles of fundamental justice? Is that allowed? And unless it does help us to achieve the common good. That's because although I've used the analogy of society as a heat engine, people are not parts of the machine. They have views about what they should do, about what other people should be allowed to do. And it's as though the parts of a motor had to agree among themselves as to how they were going to work together. Even the lubricant itself, the motor oil itself, the legal profession has its own views about these things. And those too have to be taken into account. So the principles and procedures that make up the legal system have to be ones that are suitable for a system of moving parts in which the parts themselves have a say about how they move. They have to be suitable for a society of free, purposive, and rational agents. Now, I'd like to briefly illustrate my point with an example from Star Trek, of course. I hope that you'll all remember the Next Generation episode, The Measure of a Man. And if you don't remember it, Mr. Center remembers it. And if you don't remember it, your homework for next class is to watch it. In the episode The Measure of a Man, a question arises whether the android commander Data has the right to resign from Starfleet, as he proposes to do, and as a human officer would be entitled to do. Captain Picard says Data does have that right, but a guest star who is, as my third son would say, obviously evil, the obviously evil guest star, Commander Maddox, says that Data does not have the right to resign. In fact, he doesn't have any rights because he's not a person, he's a thing. Would you allow the Enterprise computer to resign, says Commander Maddox. Now, in order to resolve this dispute between Picard and Maddox, of which Data's personality is the object, the local Starfleet JAG officer convenes a hearing in which evidence is presented, reasoned arguments are made, and the neutral decision maker makes a ruling. It turns out that the neutral decision maker is a former girlfriend of Captain Picard's, but we won't worry about that particular wrinkle for the moment, okay? I know you're all thinking reasonable apprehension of bias, but let's just set that aside for a moment. Now, there are two features of this episode that exemplify the picture of law I've tried to present to you. First, the use of a formal, fair, authoritative procedure to resolve a difficult disputed question. And second, the assumption, shared by all the participants in the procedure, that if Data was a person, he would indeed have rights. He would indeed have the right to make certain fundamental decisions for himself. Now, this picture of law as a friction-reducing device for a society of free, purposive, and rational agents is always under threats of various kind. And Professor Stein and Rob Senta referred to one of those threats already today. I'm not going to speculate as to whether these threats are worse now than they have been at other times, because there are always new ones. We solve some other ones and new ones arise, and that's the way it goes. But I think it's one of the important functions of the legal profession to try to maintain this picture of the law as far as it can do so. As Bob Dylan said, life is sad, life is a bust. All you can do is do what you must. You do what you must do, and you do it well. So whatever your particular views on particular legal questions may be, I hope that all of you will bring this picture and will help bring this picture with you when you're doing your work, that you will help in that task. And I assure you that you can take pride in doing so. Now, Jim and I have this final word.
Farewell.
Thank you, Hamish and Jim, for providing us with a wonderful close to our program today. On behalf of the Law School, I'd like to thank you all for joining us and to extend one more warm congratulations to our fabulous graduating class.